Hey loves, welcome to TT's Urban Pantry. Today I am canning up some ham and beans, kind of like a mixture between just straight ham and beans and ham and bean soup. I wasn't able to really bring you along while I was making the recipe because of the beans, and then it took a while to get those to the right, consistency, the right texture. So you're just here for the canning process, but I will tell you how I did it, and it was very easy. Last night I took 3 pounds of navy beans, which was about 6 cups. So 2 cups is about a pound. So I did 6 cups, which is about 3 pounds of navy beans. I went through those and I picked them, just got any of the dried beans that were broken, make sure there were no rocks in there, make sure they weren't just colored or kind of funky looking. And I went through and I picked those. And then I put them in a large mixing bowl, and I filled that up with water that covered about an inch and a half over the beans. And I let that soak all night. And then today, it really wasn't this morning, more this afternoon, I took those beans and I gave them another good rinsing off. And then I put them in the water and I gave them a quick soak for about a half hour. So I just brought them up to a boil and then let that simmer for about a half hour. While I was doing that, I took my ham. And it wasn't like the spiral ham. It was just flat out ham. Smoke cured ham. I took that ham and I took about half of it and cut it up into cubes, and then I took the other half and just kind of got it off the bone and I separated it. So I have the other half of the ham and then I have the ham bone. I would have preferred to have the ham broth as a stock for this, as a base for this, but I didn't have any. So that's why I hung on to the ham bone. That way I can make some ham stock just for this. And that'd be perfect when I use the rest of the ham that I'm just hanging on to. But I cut that up and cubed it, and I threw it in here with the onion that I had sauteed. And I let all of that and the vegetable stock come to a boil. And then I simmered it for, I think I simmered it for probably another half hour, and then I just let it kind of chill while I did some stuff around the house. And I seasoned it with white pepper and then black pepper, just really for some color, a little parsley for color, a little bit of salt, just because the ham is already salty enough. So a little bit of salt and some garlic. And it came out really well. This is the first time I've ever made it from scratch. I've always just used like the big glass jar of the Great Northern beans or the navy beans, and I've just dumped those in a crock pot with some ham. So that was always our ham and beans. I actually really like this. It's light for it being a bean dish. It's very, very light, and I like that. So I have a little bit left in the pot, but I'm gonna keep it for us. And then when I make dinner, that's not enough for a whole meal. But when I make dinner, Mister can have that on the side or something. So right now I'm taking all my jars. I have 7-pint jars, and I'm going to check for air bubbles, and then I'm going to top all of these off to 1-inch headspace. Hope that's that's not blocking you. No, you're good. So a 1-inch headspace, and this does need to be pressure canned. So we have the pressure canner all ready to go. And because these are pints, they need to process for 1 hour, 15 minutes. If they were quarts, it would be 1 hour, 30 minutes. There we go. So these all look really good. Now, a word to the wise. I've done beans before. I've canned kidney beans and red beans, and I really love those for red beans and rice. I need to do that. There is nothing like just opening up your own home canned beans, mixing that with some andouille sausage and some onions and some peppers and some rice. And you got red beans and rice. Put some chicken in the oven, and that is a very minimal dish. I will even put cabbage in the pressure cooker, and it's done in like 5 minutes. Wonderful meal. Didn't take long at all. Very low maintenance. But the last time I did the Great Northern beans, I had a lot of problems after the fact with the seals coming undone. And then I would go down to the basement and I would, you know, look in the back. And lo and behold, I've got a mess in one of these jars. So I am taking extra care to make sure there is no bean residue, no starch on these glass rims. Because I do not want to lose this. This is good soup. Very, very good. And perfect for those cold days that are coming up. So I'm going to actually give these a double wipe down. If I was just doing the beans by themselves, after they got done, I would have drained all that starchy water and kind of did like a hot pack, just got my own clean hot water, put the beans in there, and then filled it up with the hot water. And actually, I can kind of tell why on some of the jars that I started in from the start, that starch has already hardened. So yeah, we're gonna wipe these down really good. But because this was a soup and I want that bean juice, I wasn't able to do that. So that's the first wipe down. Let's go ahead and give them another. One, I don't want to go down to the basement and have any type of surprises. That's not good. Not good to see or smell. But two, like I said, this is really good. I don't know, for some reason I feel like I've had these with pinto beans before. Or maybe I'm just thinking the Great Northern beans, but they're both white beans. But I feel like I've had these with a non-white bean, like ham and beans with a non-white bean. So I don't know, I've got some pinto beans down there. I might do the same thing with the rest of the ham I have left and do the pinto beans, because this was very easy, especially since I soaked them overnight. You can also do a process called a quick soak, and I believe that is just taking your beans, putting them in your pot, filling it up with water about 2 inches over the beans, letting that come to a boil, and then covering and letting that sit for a half hour. I'm not positive on the time. It might be a half hour or it might be an hour. And then you take those beans, rinse them off. And then you do the same thing with fresh water. You do the same thing again with some fresh water. And that is a quick soak. I sometimes find the quick soak, I mean, it's nice if you're doing something stuck together. If you're doing something really quick the same day, but I really liked being able to do this at night. And then when I got up, everything was ready. Then I just had to do it. I didn't do it. I forgot rings. I'll be right back. So I usually don't do this, but today I had these rings on a little string. I've never done that before, but I have to say it was nice to just grab the string of rings instead of, you know, sorting them out and counting them. I have them in like a big basket, and they're mixed in with the wide mouth rings. That was nice. But we have our 7 jars here. And I want to give these another wipe down. I want to get those rims. This down here, as I'm putting the rings on, I can just tell that they're kind of starchy. And I don't want to get any pullback when I take those rings off after they have sealed. There's a lot better. So I'm going to do that with these other ones. Like I said, I've had it happen to me where I've gone downstairs and just have a hot mess on your hands. So I want to be extra, extra careful. I'm just taking my paper towel that's been dipped in vinegar. Vinegar is going to help get that oil and that dirt off of there. Just giving them an extra rub down. I'd rather be safe than sorry. Because this is really good. Really, I think I've said that already, but it was really good. It really surprised me with it being completely from scratch and not like the store-bought already made beans. I thought I was going to have to add a lot more to it than I did. And I know I said that I used some vegetable broth. So I had a quart jar of my vegetable broth, and then I just refilled that with water twice. So I used 1 quart of vegetable broth and 2 quarts of water for this. And that was all the seasoning, all the flavor that it required. So you can definitely just wipe your rims and kind of see all these beans and starch juice on my black thing. But you can definitely just wipe the rim, but there's nothing wrong with doing this. If you're doing something that's really sticky, sometimes when I do my jams and jellies, I will give them an extra wipe just because I know that hot sugar is kind of hard and want to make sure it gets clean. So take your time, no rush. But I can already tell by the way the rings are going on, I'm not getting as much resistance as I did. So I just feel better knowing I took this extra step. So I am going to throw these in the pressure canner. They need to can at 10 pounds of pressure for 75 minutes. That's an hour. That's an hour, 15 minutes, right? So I will put these in here, turn the heat on. Once it starts venting, it's going to vent for 10 minutes. And then once it has vented for 10 minutes, I will then add the weight. This thing. is what my weight looks like, but there are different types of weights. I will add the weight, and once that starts rocking, I will, wrong eye. Once that starts rocking, I will start my timer for 1 hour, 15 minutes. Once the 1 hour and 15 minutes time is up, I will remove this off of that hot eye, pick it up and move it over here. You don't have to do that, but since my range is electric, it takes a while for it to cool down. And I don't want to overdo it, mostly because I don't want the water in here to evaporate. I've had it a couple of times where the water has evaporated because I let it, like while I'm heating up the jars, I've let the water evaporate out of there way too long. So that's just something that I do. I don't want the water to evaporate, so I pick it up and move it off of that heat, that hot eye, and I let the pressure drop naturally. I don't touch it. Once this nipple goes back down like it is now, I will then take off my weight and open the lid and kind of leave it like that for about 5-10 minutes. And after that, then I will take the lid completely off. So there you have it. And I will bring you back when everything is done. So it has been 5 hours, and here are our 7 pints. Now, I did have some that haven't sealed yet. 1, 2, 3, 4. So out of the 7, I have 4 that haven't sealed yet. And I'll still let them sit here another 12 hours or so, up to 24 hours. I don't feel like doing the math. But, yeah, they haven't sealed yet, so that's a little bit of a concern. Not too much of a concern, because I know Mr. will tear these up. So I'm not really worried about them not getting used. I'm just, being overly cautious with the starch from the beans and everything. So I'm not really sure why they didn't seal, but I'll keep an eye on them. Thank you for watching TT's Urban Pantry. If you enjoyed this content or was able to learn anything from it, please hit like and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the bell icon to be notified when new videos are uploaded. And as always, have a wonderful and blessed day.